Matt and welcome aboard. Stuart Charles here, HomeStudioBasics.com, helping you make sound decisions. So, today's NF ACOUS NH20 review will cover build quality, comfort, sound, amplification needs, genre pairing, feasibility for studio use, overall value / price performance ratio, some comparisons to other similar products, and more. By the time you're finished watching, you'll know if it's worth a purchase. If it isn't, I'll point you in the direction of something that is. Kicking things off, NF ACOUS, all caps, founded in 2014, is a professional acoustics brand that started out manufacturing stage customized in-ear monitors, growing into a professional acoustics brand integrating product research and development, creative design, and precision manufacturing. They've evolved to include headphones, purportedly collaborating with hundreds of artists, bands, TV shows, and producers. Their NH20 is a closed-back circumaural studio headphone featuring MC2L 400 dual magnetic circuit, dual cavity dynamic driver, patented sound wave reflection and absorption module, dual axis angle driver alignment, and a 3.5mm single-side detachable cable mechanism. The 3.5mm 4-pole locking jack allows for connection to either side, and the headphones include two 6N OFC cables, one shorter 1.2 meter cord terminating at a 1/4 inch 6.35mm jack, and the other a longer wire ending in a standard 3.5mm jack. Per their documentation, this connector design also allows for balanced cable upgrades to be released in the future. Overall build quality is very robust, and the headphones feel weighty in your hands without becoming heavy or overbearing. Form factor is excellent, and they aren't overly bulky like, say, a Sennheiser HT280. Featuring a patented notched headband with 16-step tactile adjustment rod, they combine strong plastics, stainless steel pivot joints, and a steel headband that feels like it's built for long-term reliability. The cups rotate around 90 degrees, but they aren't foldable or collapsible. Given they're meant for the studio, this is to be expected. Still, they're compact enough for on-the-go usage and come with a very nice-looking hard-shell zippered carrying case. Their logo appears on the outside of the cups, and the headphone itself is fairly utilitarian and low profile. Adorned in mostly black, it's understated and very practical looking. Utilizing an ultra-soft suede microfiber, hydrolysis-resistant PU leather, and high-density slow rebound foam, the NH20 provides stable sealing and a comfortable overall fit. Weighing in at 270 grams, the NH20 is very comfortable and feels great on the head. The headband doesn't dig into my skull, clamping force is advertised at 4.2N, and the plush pads feel nice to the touch. NF ACOUS claims they are resistant to peeling, but over time this remains to be seen. I will update the article accordingly, linked down below. Replaceable ear pads are available regardless, but how do they sound? I'll leave playlists and links to my music below. Sources include FLAC and lossless, and I use the Volt 2, K11, K7, and Fosse DS3 as test DACs. Overall, I'm really impressed with the sound of these. As advertised, they are neutral, resolving, and almost colorless. One thing that may immediately jump out at you is their overall resolution. It's excellent and reminds me a lot of an IEM. I think part of this has to do with their angular drivers, which align more closely with the natural plane of the ear. HiFiMan is famous for this, and I'm not sure if NF ACOUS was inspired by it, but the sound really benefits. It feels more open and spacious with superior separation and a more revealing overall character. Certain songs sounded strange to me because there were aspects I had never noticed previously. At first, I thought something was wrong with the headphones because everything felt a bit off. Then I started noticing all sorts of strange artifacts and familiar tracks, and there's a very revealing quality about the NH20 that's extremely conducive to EQing and mixing. This is great news. Soundstage is also quite good for a closed back, as you'll get more out of your head moments than you'd expect. This is part of why I kept pausing the song, wondering what it was that I kept hearing in some familiar tracks. A great example is Stan Forby's Cold Fire. The background sounds, bumps, and knocks sound almost identical to those of my neighbor upstairs. I kept rewinding to make sure it was a song, and it was. Awesome! Now I don't have to gouge my eyes out. The NH20 does a great job of showcasing how tracks were mixed and mastered, revealing an artist's panning decisions while also providing excellent overall separation between sounds. I describe the overall bass response as fairly neutral-ish, providing an almost blank slate for you to work with. This is ideal as you can carve the low end as you please without worrying about mud, bloat, or overemphasis. These aren't as neutral as, say, a K702 in the bass, but the line is similar, if elevated somewhat. Coloration is minimal, and thankfully it doesn't occur in the bloat regions around 200-300 Hz. It's also important to note that the 702 is an open back, so by default airier and lighter. The NH20 overall sounds warmer and more intimate. Realistically, the bass response on both is very comparable, but the NH20 may have a bit of emphasis around 60 to 90 Hz. True North's Grizzly Peak is a great example, as both headphones render the bass very similarly. The 702 may roll it off a bit more in the sub areas, but by and large, it's a similar response in that the trajectory is smooth, solid, and predictable. In other words, the NH20 does have more meat on its bass response, but it's in no way intrusive, out of control, or sloppy. This is a big reason why it works well for both casual listening and studio use. Texture is also very good on the NH20, and bass notes articulate well without sounding boomy, needly, or artificial. Mid-range. Thankfully, the mids can shine without the bass obstructing. As mentioned earlier, resolution is excellent overall, and instruments cut through the mix while sounding tonally correct, present, and accounted for. This is definitely a warmer tone and sound, but it works because it's not trying to be or do too much. Vocals are accurate and sound true, but I will say I think timbre could use some work. It's satisfactory, but I never get the sense that the music really jumps out at me or has life. Don't get me wrong, it's correct, but it lacks that in-person flavor and pop that tends to separate good headphones from great ones. Perhaps this is intended, as the headphones are specifically made for studio use, but I think more liveliness would have been beneficial. To me, the NH20 is a good, solid headphone. It's not amazing, but in my opinion, it doesn't have to be. It's meant for a job and does it extremely well. Well. Isolation is above average, and they work really well for tracking and recording rap vocals. Are they as isolating as Atom Audio's H200 or the Sennheiser H280? Definitely not, as you'll notice the H200 clamps harder and does a better job of closing you off from the world. Ditto for the H280. That said, I think the NH20 sounds more open and less clammy than the H200, doing a better job of separating sounds while not feeling boxed in. As much as I like and recommend the H200, it provides a fairly narrow image and can seem a little closed in. The NH20, by contrast, has better overall spaciousness and arguably better resolution. A great example is Miles Davis's Flamenco Sketches. You can hear noticeable air on the left side in both, but on the NH20, it's a lot more immediate and almost screams it's there. This comparison only further reinforces the fact that the H200, to me, is always going to work better for tracking and recording over mixing. If mixing and EQ are a priority, I'd most certainly go with an NH20. And while I like the H200 for tracking, I'd rather use the FT1. This decision ultimately comes down to whether you value isolation over sound quality and air, as in my mind, the FT1 beats the H200 easily in every category of sound, mostly because of its openness and separation. The NH20 lies somewhere in the middle. It's warm-ish like the FT1, but isn't as open or spacious. And while the NH20 has good soundstage, the FT1's, in my opinion, is better. So grading openness, spaciousness, and separation would go FT1 is better than the NH20, and the NH20 is better than the H200. Treble. Expect a clean treble, definitely not as bright as the K702, but not overly subdued either. It strikes a nice balance. Both the NH20 and H200 treble is darker than that of the K702, but the H200's is the darkest. The NH20 kind of sits in the middle and strikes a nice balance between crisp versus overly sibilant. The H200 treble sounds more laid back, so again, not as good for mixing and EQ in my eyes. Both darker and brighter can work for mixing, but brighter tends to be better per my experience. The H200 is pretty much the perfect tracking and recording headphone, while the NH20 may excel in a few different areas. General listening and enjoyment, mixing and EQ, tracking and recording, and even gaming can work. Amplification. If you're worried about drivability or an amp, don't be. At 50 ohm impedance and 125 decibel sensitivity, they're super easy to drive like bumper carts at your local amusement park. Because these are studio headphones and you're probably a normal, sane person trying to make music, you'll likely be using some sort of interface like the Volt 2, and that's fine. Don't overthink it. If for whatever reason you're watching this as a weirdo audiophile looking for the best synergy or various other types of bullshit, you can click off this video right now, Buster! No, really, do it, and never come back. Prepare to pair with genres everywhere, from rap, hip-hop, grunge, shoegaze, jazz, classical, ambient, soul, Motown, gospel, country, bluegrass, indie pop, K-pop, trance, metal, new metal, have you not skipped past this yet? Techno, electronica, folk, trap, lo-fi, R&B, progressive, post-progressive, progressive metal, sludge, thrash, doom, space rock, acid rock, Christian rock, math rock, blues, easy listening, disco. No, really, why haven't you fast forwarded yet? House, emo, drum and bass, experimental, funk, sadcore, rapcore, punk, post-punk, emo pop, screamo, and that's about all she wrote. Slurp your fish! As alluded to earlier, one thing that could use a bit of work is timbre. Everything sounds as it should, but there's an element of realism that's missing. And though they're warm-ish, they still somehow sound a bit dry at times. Good timbre adds a bit of in-person type of feel, and I think the NH20 is missing it. Still, the transient response is good, fast, and well controlled, allowing notes to start and stop cleanly without excessive smearing. This helps preserve clarity and keeps the presentation from feeling overly sluggish or congested, even when the mix gets busy. Attacks are snappy enough to give percussion and plucked instruments some bite, and Decay never lingers longer than it should. While improved timbre would add more lifelike texture and body, the solid transient behavior helps maintain overall coherence and prevents the sound from falling apart. As far as some other caveats, I hate to nitpick, but the headphones, while extremely well constructed, could benefit from a bit of better QC. There are a couple of unsightly nicks and dings, and this was upon opening the box. It's just a tad sloppy for my liking. Again, you may not even notice, or I may have an outlier, so let me know in the comments below how yours is once you buy it. Because you should. Final verdict. The NH20 is an incredibly solid, excellently tuned headphone with a warmish, slightly V-shaped profile that works very well for an array of tasks. While not a pitch-perfect black response, mostly due to the elevated bass shelf, its overall splendid resolution works extremely well for mixing and also makes a really exemplary headphone for just casually listening to tunes. If the K702 is almost completely neutral, the NH20 kicks it up a tasteful notch like Emerald Lagasse. And that's it. But always remember to keep it dummy thick. Aight?